Embarking on anything new in life is usually opened with a feeling of excitement, where your motivation for what you're doing is purely run on the adrenaline that you receive from doing what you're doing. That period of excitement is then replaced by an initial period of confidence, where you have gained a little bit of ability, so you suddenly feel like you're good enough to share that with the world, where you feel like you're starting to get somewhere with it. That initial feeling of confidence is then replaced by your first period of uncertainty or doubt, where you don't really know if you're capable enough. You don't know if your work is good enough, and you don't know if people really like what you're doing. And then finally, all of those are surpassed by fulfillment, where you finally feel like you're confident enough, capable enough, and humble enough to do what you're doing. I know the idea of a small creator is entirely subjective, and you can't really put a number on when you're no longer a small content creator. But that period of uncertainty is what I'm referencing here, that period of doubt that you feel. I'm not talking about the metrics or the fact that you haven't quite turned this into your full-time thing yet. I'm talking about anyone who's putting themselves or their work out there with the hope of building an audience around something that they love or something that they're interested in. Someone who's trying to turn their creative expression into their full-time career and is at a point where what's in front of them still overshadows what they've put behind them. It's a period of time that's extraordinarily valuable for a content creator, but very difficult to understand that value when you're in the midst of it. So hopefully this video gives you small content creators like myself an ability or a confidence to continue to go after it, because I've been through it, I am still going through it, and I know what it feels like to be a small content creator. So keep going after it and watch this video, and it might just help you out along the way. Theodore Roosevelt once said that comparison is the thief of joy. And I think if you were to sum up what it feels like to be a content creator, or what it feels like to be a small content creator on a platform like Instagram or YouTube, that would be the perfect way to describe it. As someone trying to build a career for themselves as a content creator, I can't help but look at those who have done it before me, or those who are doing it better than me. After all, many of us start with no one in our lives who actually knows what they're doing when it comes to this social media thing. It's such a new thing that you're very often embarking on this journey completely on your own. There's no rule book, there's no class you can attend, no mentors to look up to, and most of us don't have any parents who've walked this path before us. 90% of the time, we start this journey alone. Myself, for example, out of the 150 students who finished in my class of 2015, I am the only person trying their hand in social media right now. Before meeting people along this journey, none of my friends had ever used social media for anything more than connecting with people. I was completely in the dark with nothing to reference but the people that seemed to be doing it better than me. But how can I use anyone as a reference when the information that they share about themselves is just a scratch on the surface of what it's really like to be them? I don't know how they make their money. I don't know how they spend their days. I don't know if they suffer from the same feelings of doubt that I do, or even if they're really as successful as they portray themselves to be. No one shares any of that information. We just have to connect the dots for ourselves. The only issue is those two dots are traveling the world full time, going from beautiful destination to beautiful destination without a care in the world, and photographer and filmmaker. There's no in between to tell us that we're answering the right questions, or in between to tell us that we're moving in the right direction. All I know is they're doing what I want to be doing, and I'm not. Am I just not good enough for this? Should I even bother anymore? Maybe this is just something I'm not supposed to be doing. Imposter syndrome and a feeling of uncertainty seems to be a constant in my life as a small creator. One day I can be flooded with inspiration, excited for the future, and ready to attack every goal that I've set for myself, and the next considering giving it all up and reconsidering my options. Every milestone I seem to surpass or question that I answer for myself only seems to be replaced by another set of questions or milestones I need to begin working towards. I think that's where fulfillment needs to be found. Not in answering one all-encompassing question, but in finding joy in the process of answering those questions. Because you cannot possibly understand the lives of those you admire. Everyone's lives are so different. That content creator you look up to, who seems to have it all figured out, is exactly like you. They ask the same questions you do, feel the same stresses, and have the same doubts. I would love to sit here and say that I've kicked that feeling of comparison, and that I'm on the path to nothing but joy. But it just wouldn't be honest for me to say that. I'm constantly comparing myself to others and carrying an ever-present feeling of imposter syndrome. Like somehow everything I've accomplished up until this point was completely by accident, and it's all going to disappear right from underneath me tomorrow. And all my work up until this point was for nothing. Was it just a fluke? Those questions can begin to worry you, to a point where you become restricted to the moment that you're in. never able to evolve or progress because, ironically, you're too scared to lose what you've already gained through your willingness to evolve and take risks, so you stop taking those risks altogether. It makes it difficult to concentrate on what's most important: the content you're actually creating. When your success is boiled down to metrics, you can't hide from the fact that the video you just put out yesterday that you spent tens of hours creating wasn't seen by anyone. Or the image that you just finished editing that you're certain is the best piece of content you've ever created to date wasn't liked or reposted by anyone. After all, the work that we create for the world is part of you. Your creative expression is what makes you you. It's what makes you unique. It's always been your creativity that made you feel different, what helped you through the tough times, and the only thing that you've ever felt good at. So does that mean that no one likes me? Should I change? Do something different, shift my creative expression in a direction that'll suit the masses? Because that'll get views, right? That's what'll help me live the life that I know I deserve, right? I think that period of being a small creator is a period of time where we can learn the most about ourselves, our work, and where our motivations truly are. After all, none of us plan on being a small creator forever. So here's what being a small creator has taught me. Focus on the work that makes you happy, not the work that makes your audience happy. Being authentic is the best form of creative expression, and to be authentic means you need to draw your inspiration from within. Pay attention to yourself. Give yourself time to think, time to learn, and time to create. The comments and messages you receive are amazing, but they don't know you. The style that they want you to stick to is what they think they know about you, because that's all you've shown them. Give people a chance to learn who you really are, and focus on creating the work that makes you feel most inspired. Create when you're feeling inspired and when you're not. Inspiration comes and goes. Pay attention to it, but don't let it dictate what you're doing. If you only set out to create when it felt easiest, those moments of inspiration wouldn't mean anything anymore. So pay attention to the ebb and flow of inspiration, but don't let it control you. Don't find gratification in the feedback from others. Acknowledge all the kind messages and comments you'll receive, but don't let them influence how you see yourself or your work. Same goes for the hate that you're going to receive, because you are going to receive it. Know it's there, but don't let it dictate you. Delayed gratification should be the aim of the game for any content creator. Have some patience. There's no shortcuts here. Know that what you want to achieve is going to take time. A quote that I love to stick by whenever I'm sitting down and creating some goals for myself is, we overestimate what we can achieve in a year and we underestimate what we can achieve in 5. Take risks, lots of them. Don't be afraid to shift your focus or pivot with your creativity. You're in this for the long run, so the pressure that you're currently feeling to maintain this creative style or creative direction really isn't something you should be worried about. After all, maybe that next shift in creativity might just be that one thing that might get you to the next place and allow you to get to where you've been chasing. Don't worry if you do care what people think of you, even though the advice everyone gives is for you to not give a fuck. Just try and understand why you do care, and work on that in your own way. I suffer from a complete inability to drop this chip off my shoulder. Every single one of my accomplishments is usually shrouded in a feeling of "I told you so," and every single one of my failures is shrouded in a sense of "screw you, I'll show you next time." It's something I need to work on, but it's something that I know is there. It's normal, it's part of it. Know it's there, work on it, but don't feel like you're a lesser than because you do care what people think of you. Try to remember that everyone's lives are just as complex as your own, and comparing yourself to anyone else's success is futile. No two journeys are ever the same. You are the first and last person that will ever live the life that you're living. So you cannot possibly expect your journey to be like anyone else's. You can't set your own milestones to the journey of anyone else, or you're setting yourself up for disappointment. If I had to set out on this YouTube journey and decided that a year from now I need to be in the exact same position that Peter McKinnon was a year into his journey, I would be pretty disappointed right now. Focus on controlling what you can control and stop worrying about what you can't control. Focus on creating what you're proud of in the topics that inspire you, and you'll find your crowd. The algorithms, the shadow banning, the hashtags not working, the adpocalypse are all things that you cannot control anyway, so stop worrying about them. But above everything else, it's given me a huge amount of respect for those that are now living lives creating content for a living. This journey is difficult, and at one point or another we all know what it feels like to be a small creator wishing our work could be seen by the world. But those that continue to create video after video or photo after photo whilst no one seems to be listening are deserving of every success that they achieve down the line. Take pride in the fact that you're a small creator. because you're putting yourself out there and doing something that 99% don't have the guts to do. And that in itself is an accomplishment you should be proud of. So to all the small content creators out there doing their thing and chasing after their dreams, I'm fucking proud of you, and keep doing what you're doing. If you enjoyed this video, if you've enjoyed any of my videos on my channel, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. But as always, it's entirely up to you, and I'll see you guys next time.